Update. Action. I've contacted a family justice lawyer and social services again. A social worker is coming out to see me to discuss my concerns. They will do a home visit based on the information I give them, and if they have concerns, they will open a case. The family justice lawyer, FMJ, I'll refer to it as now, is helping me put together a case as well. They have all the proof of the abuse, emotional, physical, and intimacy, cheating, and various other things. I've also sent the FMJ and social worker the pictures I have of Autumn's matted hair and dirty clothes from when I pick her up. I did this before as well, but it fell on deaf ears. I'm hoping for a different outcome. I've also sent my mental health history records confirming I am stable and fit to raise my child, and that my bipolar does not affect my ability to parent. My next update will be after the visit, and the FMJ updates me. My friends and family. My friends have all apologized and want to be friendly again. However, it's going to take time for me to forgive and trust their friendship again. My family has rallied around me and is supporting me, which I'm so grateful for. Trigger warning for possible abuse. Edit clarification. I tried to get full custody at the time of divorcing Cindy. It was ruled that she wasn't a threat to her, and due to my bipolar, I wasn't fit for full custody, which is ridiculous. I've been medicated since I was 21 and haven't had a mental health breakdown since then, even with all the stuff I was put through. I also appealed this decision and was met with the same result. I love my daughter and would die for her. I'm trying to do my best by her, but it's not an easy situation. At the moment, I make sure all my time with her is happy and full of love, laughter, and fun. I make sure she has everything she needs and always will do. Okay, so I, 30-year-old male, and my ex-wife Cindy, 34, share custody of our little girl Autumn, who is 6. We were together for 8 years, married for 6, and have been divorced for 2. This past Wednesday, I had Autumn at my house for the week, and we were having dinner and watching some kids' show. I don't remember the name of it. One of the characters was basically saying how you should always be kind and spread love and a lot of stuff. Autumn said that she wished her mom was always kind because it upsets her when she isn't. I asked her when is she not kind and was she unkind to her. She said no, she was unkind about people she cared about. I asked her who she was unkind about, and she mentioned me, my family, her sister, and Autumn's school friends. She mentioned the people she heard her say it to. I comforted her and said I'd try to help the situation. That night, I got in contact with the people Autumn mentioned. A lot of them confirmed what Autumn has said. I was honestly crushed because I hated that she was being horrible about me in front of my child, and lying about me and the reason we got a divorce. To sum up, during our relationship, these are things Cindy did to me. She was very insecure and would go through my phone and work laptop constantly, deleting contacts, even family members and clients. She changed my social media passwords and said I could only look at them on her phone with her. She accused me of cheating constantly with my coworkers. She would demand intimacy, and if I said no or didn't want to, she'd accuse me of getting it elsewhere until I gave in. She would stain my clothes on purpose. I did, do, and have done. My own washing. And then she'd spill stuff on my clothes constantly, even once they were dry and put away in the drawers. She physically hurt me when I tried to leave the house. She insulted my appearance constantly, saying that no one else would want me anyway. She told me when Autumn was 2 that she wasn't mine and showed me proof she'd cheated on me. Autumn is mine, we got a paternity test in the divorce. She told me constantly that no one else would ever love me or want me because of a scar I have. She told me constantly that my family wished it was me that died instead of my brother. I had to have proof of all of this and showed it to my friends, the ones Autumn mentioned and more, and family. I was tempted to show hers too, but left it at that. It got back to her and she called me screaming and saying I had no right. She said she was just venting to her friends, and I said you were lying about me and making me sound like a horrible person in front of my daughter. She said that my friends already didn't like me, so why did I matter, and she deserved to be comforted when she was upset. I hung up on her. I'm seriously considering going for full custody, or making it so we don't have to see each other when I pick Autumn up. I want to limit contact as much as possible. I do feel bad now as I get it was private between us, but she didn't honor that, so why should I? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think you have no choice but to go for full custody. Get a family law lawyer, gather every bit of evidence, record your daughter's account. At least recreate all damning conversations. Not the idiot. Do this for your daughter. Update me. Good luck. Comment 2. Sounds like abuse or domestic violence. Is your daughter safe? I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Not the idiot. You didn't deserve what she did to you. You were already very gracious to wait so long to tell people what an aggressor she was. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a tough few months, but I'm hanging in there. So, the social worker came out to see me and we had a long chat about my concerns. I showed them all the evidence I had of Cindy's abuse and neglect towards Autumn. They took it all very seriously and said they would open an investigation. They did a home visit with Cindy and apparently found some concerning things. Autumn's room was a mess. There was hardly any food in the house, and Cindy couldn't even tell them the last time Autumn had a bath. The social worker told me they have enough to open a case and potentially remove Autumn from Cindy's care. Meanwhile, the family justice lawyer has been a godsend. They've helped me put together a really strong case for full custody. We have all the proof of abuse, the cheating, the lies she's told about me, and now the neglect that the social worker uncovered. I feel like for the first time, the system might actually work in my favor. But it hasn't been easy. Cindy has been on a rampage ever since she found out about the investigation. She's been calling me nonstop, leaving threatening voicemails, even showed up at my work once screaming at me in the parking lot until security escorted her away. She's completely unhinged. I'm worried about what she might do, but I'm trying to stay focused on Autumn and getting her out of that situation. I've also been reflecting a lot on our relationship and how it got to this point. I remember when we first got together, Cindy seemed so fun and carefree. But looking back, there were red flags from the start that I ignored. The constant accusations of cheating, the way she tried to isolate me from friends and family, how she always had to be in control. I guess I was just so in love that I couldn't see it. Or maybe I didn't want to see it. There was this one time early in our marriage when Cindy got so mad at me for coming home late from work that she threw a vase at my head. It missed, but barely. I was so shocked. I didn't even know how to react. She cried and apologized profusely, said it would never happen again. And foolishly, I believed her. I should have left right then, but I thought we could work it out. I thought her love for me was enough. But abuse is never love, no matter how much they claim to care about you. I've been in therapy working through a lot of this trauma, and it's helped me see how much Cindy manipulated and gaslit me over the years. Made me question my own reality and believe I was the problem. It's a hard thing to come to terms with, being a victim of abuse as a man. There's so much stigma and shame around it. But I know now that it wasn't my fault, and I didn't deserve any of it. My biggest regret is not leaving sooner, for Autumn's sake. She was so young when the divorce happened, I hoped she'd be shielded from the worst of it. But clearly, Cindy's toxicity has affected her more than I realized. It breaks my heart to think of what she's been exposed to. I'm just trying to focus on giving her all the love and stability I can when she's with me, letting her know that none of this is her fault. So that's where things are at now. Just trying to take it day by day. The custody battle is ongoing, but I'm hopeful that with the social worker and lawyer on my side, the truth will prevail. Autumn deserves so much better than what she's gotten. I'm going to fight with everything I have to give her the safe and happy childhood she deserves. Thanks for letting me vent and for all the support. It means more than you know. I'll update again when I have more news. Take care, everyone. My casual fling fakes a pregnancy and her friend harasses me, so I threaten legal action and watch them squirm as I walk away. I was dating this woman, and we were having intimacy pretty regularly for some time. She would spend the nights with me after work, and the weekends as well, and we were very active in that sense. This period of time was relatively short, however, lasting about 4 weeks before this incident. I was home alone when I started getting tons of texts from 2 phone numbers. One was my woman, and the other was her friend, who I'm pretty sure had feelings for her. The text said that she missed her period and her friend drove her to the doctors. She had a blood test done among other traditional tests that showed she was pregnant. I immediately called her and asked her if she was okay, if there was anything I could do to help, and suggested we meet in person to talk about what we were going to do. She told me that she didn't want anyone to know, I lived with my mom at the time in a duplex-type situation, so they knew each other, and the woman made it a point to say she didn't want my mom to know. After she said that, her friend began spamming me, saying things like how awful what I had done is, and how it's my fault she's going through this and that I need to make things right. I was pretty confused about the direction things were going. After I asked if she could come meet with me for a second time, she said I needed to go and change my relationship status to in a relationship on my socials. I told her that we had only been seeing each other for a few weeks, that we never had gone out on a proper date, only FWB, friends with benefits, type stuff, and that she had never indicated to me that she wanted to take things farther. I told her I wasn't comfortable changing my status online at the time, and that I really think we should talk in person, and that her friend does not need to be involved. At this point, she's crying and screaming over the phone that I need to love her and prove that I love her because I had done this to her, and how could I do this if I wasn't even willing to make her my girlfriend? I said, "You know what? You're right. We should make things official." I said when people are having a child together, they get married. Having a child is a life-changing moment. We should be together in this important moment. I asked if her friend could bring her over so we can be together. As soon as I hung up the phone, I told my mom. She went and got some pregnancy tests, and when the woman and her friend arrived, I invited her in. I handed her a pregnancy test, and she started to have a fit. I told her she had to take the test in order for me to be able to accept it and move forward. I also asked my mom to stay in the back near the door, so she would feel like she was surrounded. She took the test. Surprise! She wasn't pregnant. At this point, she's shoving blood work results that were on paper and looked very official into my face, so I handed her another test, and she was negative again. At this point, I knew all of this was some insane scenario her and her friend cooked up. The goal seemingly to make her my girlfriend? I told her to grab any of her things and leave. As she was walking out the door, I said, "You know, I liked you a lot. I would have made things official if you had asked me how I felt. But after this, I never want to see you again." Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. She sounds like a chaotic situation, but in the earliest weeks of pregnancy, the pregnancy tests are most accurate with the first urine in the morning, since the hormones build up overnight. So someone in the first few weeks may test positive in the morning and not during the rest of the day. Blood tests are the most accurate, so do that next if this situation continues. I swear I thought the lie you were going to tell was that you'd had a vasectomy, so that you could get a paternity test to prove it was yours. Comment 2. Not the idiot, not the a-hole. You did the very intelligent, alert, objective, mature, and responsible thing. Of course, you insisted on her taking a pregnancy test and were not dissuaded by her emotional performance. Good job. I wish everyone was as intelligent as you. Believe nothing you're told. Always get the facts yourself. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post about the crazy situation with my ex. It's been a week since everything went down, and I've got some updates for you. First off, I thought the whole pregnancy scare was over, but boy was I wrong. A couple of days after she left my place, I started getting bombarded with messages from her friend again. This time, she was claiming that my ex had a miscarriage and that it was all my fault for stressing her out. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, how could she have had a miscarriage when she was never pregnant in the first place? I tried to ignore the messages, but they just kept coming. My ex even showed up at my work, crying and screaming about how I had ruined her life. It was a total nightmare. My boss had to call security to escort her out of the building. I was so embarrassed and worried that I might lose my job over this whole thing. But that's not even the worst part. Remember how I mentioned that my ex and I had been pretty active in the bedroom? Well, it turns out that she had been recording us without my knowledge. She started threatening to post the videos online if I didn't agree to be with her. I was absolutely horrified. I never consented to being recorded, and the thought of those videos being out there for anyone to see made me sick to my stomach. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't go to the police because I was afraid of the videos being leaked, but I also couldn't give in to her demands. It felt like I was trapped in a no-win situation. As I was trying to figure out my next move, I started thinking back on our relationship. I realized that there had been red flags from the beginning that I had ignored. like how she would always get jealous if I talked to other girls, even if they were just friends, or how she would constantly ask me to prove my love for her by buying her expensive gifts or taking her on fancy dates. I had chalked it up to her being insecure, but now I see that it was all part of her manipulation tactics. I also remembered a conversation we had early on where she told me about her childhood. She had grown up in a really unstable home, with parents who were constantly fighting and a father who was never around. She had mentioned how she had always dreamed of having a perfect family of her own someday. At the time, I had felt sorry for her, but now I realized that she was trying to use her past to justify her crazy behavior. After a lot of soul-searching, I decided that I needed to take a stand. I couldn't let her control me anymore. I told her that if she released those videos, I would press charges for revenge porn. I also said that I never wanted to see or hear from her again, and that if she continued to harass me, I would get a restraining order. It was a tough decision, but I knew it was the right one. I couldn't live my life in fear of what she might do. I had to take back control of my own life. Since then, things have been quiet. I haven't heard from her or her friend, and I'm hoping that means they've finally given up. But I know that I'll always have to be on my guard now. I've learned the hard way that you can't always trust people, even if they seem nice at first. Anyway, that's the latest. Thanks for listening to me vent. It's been a tough week, but I'm trying to stay positive and move on with my life. I know that I'll be okay, no matter what happens. My sister demands I pull my daughter out of ballet to spare her daughter's feelings, so I teach her a lesson in parenting and let my daughter shine. Even brighter. My younger sister used to live nearby, and our daughters, mine is 6 years old, hers is 7 years old, went to the same ballet school for a little over a year. My niece, I'll call her Tessa, got into ballet first, and she was the one who got my daughter, I'll call her Emily, interested as well. Both girls love ballet, and having them at the same school was great. Earlier this year, my sister and niece recently moved to a different neighborhood. They're now far enough from the ballet school that my sister had to pull Tessa out of class. At first, Tessa was enrolled in a different ballet school, but she didn't adjust well to the change. She didn't engage with her peers and completely refused to take part in class. My sister pulled her out after 5 lessons. Since then, ballet has been a touchy subject around Tessa. I completely understand that. But the ways my sister has tried to get around this do bother me a little. The earliest example I can think of is when she pulled Tessa out of the new school. Before doing so, she tried to convince me to either enroll Emily in the new school with Tessa or pull her out of ballet entirely. Her reasoning was that she didn't want my niece to feel alone or jealous of my daughter. I said no, and she didn't insist. The situation that led me to write this post happened last Thursday, when my sister, her boyfriend, and Tessa came to our place for dinner. They arrived around the same time my husband was leaving to pick Emily up from her ballet class. On his way there, he called me and said he'd gotten a text from my sister telling him to change Emily into her school uniform. She'd been wearing it before ballet, because she didn't want Tessa to see our daughter in her leotard. My husband was running late and would have to pick Emily up quickly, so he'd have no time to change her inside the school. I also didn't like the idea of my 6-year-old changing clothes in a moving vehicle with windows, so the car wasn't an option either. I told my husband to ignore my sister, and he agreed with my reasoning. He offered to get Emily to put on a pair of shorts on top of the leotard, and I thought that was a better idea. They arrived soon after. Tessa didn't notice the leotard, but I could tell that her mother did. She was still quiet the whole dinner, only addressing her daughter, and threw several angry glances at my husband. My sister called me the next day. She tried to tell me what my husband had done, but I said that I'd been the one to tell him to ignore her request. She accused me of mocking Tessa by trying to remind her that her cousin was still in their old ballet school. My sister also said that Emily would end up rude and entitled if I didn't teach her to show other people grace. I get her side, and I sympathize with my niece. However, I have been bending over backwards to make sure my children don't upset Tessa, and I think the request to change Emily's clothes was both pointless and ridiculous. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Are you sure the problem is with Tessa, or is the real problem your sister-in-law? Your husband needs to tell his sister that you both love Tessa but will no longer pretend that Emily doesn't take ballet classes. If Tessa is still not able to adjust to the change in ballet schools, suggest it might be time to consider a therapist, though he should point out that you both noticed that Tessa was completely unfazed by seeing Emily in a leotard. Tell sister-in-law that Emily loves Tessa and, of course, would be heartbroken if sister-in-law decides to go low contact, but that you'll respect her decision. Not the idiot and dimming Emily's light won't make Tessa's light shine brighter. Comment 2. Obvious, not the idiot. I'm really confused as to how you feel there is any reason for you to be the jerk here. Sure, your sister's feelings are hurt, but those feelings come from a place of pure immaturity. So in my opinion, while they should be seen as valid to hold, it is wrong to act on them and therefore correct to take action against your sister's wishes. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a week since I posted about the situation with my sister and niece, and a lot has happened since then. A few days after the dinner incident, my sister called me again. She apologized for her reaction and admitted that she had been too harsh on me and my husband. She explained that she had been feeling overwhelmed and frustrated with Tessa's situation and had taken it out on us. I appreciated her apology and understood where she was coming from. However, things took a turn when my sister asked if I could talk to Emily about not mentioning ballet around Tessa. She said that Tessa was still struggling with the fact that she couldn't attend ballet classes anymore, and that hearing about Emily's classes was making it harder for her. I hesitated at first, but ultimately agreed to have a gentle conversation with Emily about being mindful of Tessa's feelings. Later that day, I sat down with Emily and tried to explain the situation in a way that a 6-year-old could understand. I told her that Tessa was feeling sad about not being able to go to ballet classes, and that it would be nice if we could avoid talking about ballet when Tessa was around. Emily seemed to understand and agreed to be more considerate. But here's where I made a mistake that changed everything. In an effort to make Emily feel better about the situation, I told her that Tessa might be able to join her ballet class again someday. I thought it would give her hope and make her more willing to be sensitive to Tessa's feelings. However, I didn't realize the impact my words would have. The next time Tessa came over to our house, Emily excitedly told her that she might be able to come back to ballet class soon. Tessa looked confused and asked her mom about it, but my sister had no idea what Emily was talking about. When she found out that I had told Emily that Tessa might return to ballet, she was furious. She accused me of giving Tessa false hope and making the situation worse. She said that she had been working hard to help Tessa accept that she couldn't do ballet anymore and that my comment had undone all of her progress. I tried to explain that I had only been trying to help, but my sister wouldn't listen. The fallout from this incident has been significant. My sister has stopped bringing Tessa over to our house and has limited our contact with them. She says that she needs time to help Tessa process her feelings and that she doesn't want me interfering anymore. I feel terrible about the mistake I made and wish I could take it back. Looking back, I realized that I should have been more careful with my words. I should have considered the long-term impact of telling Emily that Tessa might return to ballet, instead of just trying to make her feel better in the moment. I also should have communicated better with my sister about how to handle the situation, instead of making assumptions. This whole experience has brought up some underlying issues in my relationship with my sister. Growing up, we were always close, but we had a competitive streak that sometimes caused tension between us. When we were teenagers, my sister often felt overshadowed by my achievements in school and sports. I think some of those old feelings of inadequacy have resurfaced now that Tessa is struggling, while Emily is thriving in ballet. I've been trying to be more understanding of my sister's perspective and the challenges she's facing as a parent. I know that it's not easy to watch your child struggle and feel like you can't fix it. I've also been reflecting on my own parenting style and how I can be more mindful of the impact my words and actions have on others. Moving forward, I hope that my sister and I can find a way to rebuild our relationship and support each other through the ups and downs of parenting. I want to be there for Tessa and help her through this difficult time, but I also need to respect my sister's boundaries and trust her to make the best decisions for her daughter. Thank you for reading and for all of your support and advice. This has been a challenging situation, but I'm hopeful that we can all learn and grow from it. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!